You're listening to Tag You're It with host Rhonda Spaziani on greeninkradio.com.
Welcome. This is Rhonda Spaziani on Tag You're It. And today's show is with Patrisha Summerland. She is Sunny, the California girl from Glow. Welcome, Patrisha.
Hello. How are you, Rhonda? And thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on. I'm very well. Thank you. And you are in California still, correct?
Well, yes, I am a native. Don't tell anybody, and I'm halfway sane yet. I'd like to say that, with the lands of fruits and nuts, they say in California here. But I was born and raised in Los Angeles and raised in La Crescenta. And now I'm currently in the suburbs. Well, let's say it's the mountains where there's lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my. I'm in Kern County, which is central California, and it will snow here probably in another month.
Wow, really? So are you
in
a skier?
California? No, I'm not. No, I am that girl that sits inside the warm and fuzzy room where the fire's going, and I will have a hot toddy watching everyone else.
That's a good gig too. That's the best part of skiing, I think.
Right?
Is the lodge. I'm a skier, but I still like the lodge the best.
Yes. But give me a snowmobile or those fun tubes, I will do that for sure.
Yeah, and you're a major athlete. You're a runner, correct? That's your great love, or is there other athletics?
I was a tomboy at a young age, so I loved all sports. You put me there, you give me a challenge, it's on. But I won my awards in running, in track and field. I suppose that's why I don't like skiing, because I see so many people break their legs, and I'm like, oh, I don't want that.
Yeah.
I like my legs. Yeah, I was a track and field. I did 100 to 1,000-yard dash, and I competed against women or girls, actually. I started in elementary school, believe it or not.
Wow.
And I went up through the college and I competed against men because the women weren't challenging enough for me.
Wow.
So they put me with the guys, and I got teased a lot because of that, because I was taller than most. Back in those days, I was probably 5'10". I don't know if I shrunk. I'd like to say I'm still 5'10". So for a female, it's kind of awkward. I got called daddy long legs, grasshopper, and I'm like, I would go home and cry to my mom. She goes, honey, you're doing great things. You're running. Keep it up. And they were always there at the forefront watching me compete. But boy, I just got teased. And the men didn't like me. The boys, of course, did not like me through the grade school years when I was running. It was just, I was in tears all the time. She said, honey, one day you're going to love and appreciate your legs. And I got it finally when I got into wrestling.
Yeah, because you were when I was watching the videos, you were taller than a lot of them, weren't you? At that point in time, a lot of the other wrestling.
Yes, actually, I think I was there was 1 or 2, 3 girls that were taller than myself. I think Daisy's 6'4", Justice, who is their niece, she played Justice. She's 6'5", I want to say. So for me, I was still kind of like considered short up against them. And then the gentle giant of the ring, which is Mountain Fiji, she was about 6'1".
Wow.
And then Big Bad Mama, I think it was like 6'1".
Wow.
Oh yeah, they were all different shapes and sizes, and that's what was wonderful about Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling, because we want to say gorgeous, but honestly, some of them were not.
Right.
They were gorgeous internally, if you will, but their character was rough and ugly because they played the heel. And that's what was different from the divas, because the divas are all glamorous, and the more they show, the better it is. Not to discount their wrestling. Ours was more characterized. It was character driven, and it stood up for women empowerment back then, that to say that you can be any shape and size and conquer your fear. And especially in what we had to do in the ring, because that is scary. It's stunt work. And who would have thought that you learn this in elementary school, your tumbles, your rolls, your backward rolls. And even when you're little, it was scary. You've got to do those rolls over and over in school. And then you're faced to do it in the ring when you're 20 or 21 years old. Some were like 22, 23 years old. It became like, oh my gosh, we got to do this.
Were you ever afraid? I mean, did you have to do stuff that really scared the crap out of you? Or were you just I'm going for it, I don't care?
Oh yeah. Yeah, you have to. You can't have fear because that's where the injury is, and that's where you get severely injured and bones break in wrestling. And we've had 2 girls that happened to. My very own tag team Queenie, for instance, in training, she was in the ring, and what we call a monkey toss, you're thrown into the corner turnbuckle and you're taken over. In other words, you're flying over the opponent. Your foot goes in their stomach, they grab you, and you go flying over.
Ouch.
And it's usually fast motion, but in training, you're going over a bit slower. Well, she froze up as she was going over Nanuchka, who was training her, and before she hit the mat, she froze up more. And as she hit the mat, her collarbone popped straight out. Yeah. And needless to say, she was not my tag team. I was solo from that point. She got sent home, and that dream of hers did not become reality in television because that wasn't, unfortunately, when you're injured like that, you cannot wrestle. And our director was very strict. He pushed you to the limit for your better good, and he would only tolerate the good wrestlers. If you were not good, you're not getting in that ring. And that was it. We had some girls that got fired right away and were weaned out of 350 girls that was in training.
Wow, that's a lot. And then did you guys all live together, or you got to live at your own apartments and stuff? Or did you have some type of in my mind, I have a barracks kind of.
It kind of was like that. We were in an apartment and there was 4 to an apartment. So we had our own apartments. Everything was paid for, our food, our housing. And then we got our weekly monies for doing this and to be on television. Trained all week, Monday through Friday. We had 2 days off through that week, but weekends we filmed. So we had the live audience that came in and we did our live taping for that. It worked out good. I mean, it was very grueling and we had, military training. So therefore it wasn't, a cakewalk for us on that end, much less the gymnastics side of it to relive that. And for me, again, when you're tall, it's hard to do a handstand. Wow. I wasn't comfortable in doing handstands. My legs wanted to dangle. They didn't want to go straight up perfectly in the air. So I had a problem with that in the beginning, and Matt made me do it in front of all the girls over and over up against the wall. I think it was 100 times, and it was brutal, but I got it right, trust me. And then I ended up doing the pile driver with BC, my opponent, over and over because of that. I think Matt just kind of said, okay, she's got it. She's going to end up getting pile driven. That maneuver is not allowed anymore in wrestling. It's one of the most dangerous maneuvers. So, and as well, it was for me in Biloxi, Mississippi. We toured the Midwest, the Mid-South states, and that was a lot of fun. We flew into Atlanta, Georgia, and started our tour. There was 36 of us girls on a tour bus. Yeah.
Did you guys get in trouble? Did you ever go out and get drunk or anything? Or did
we did actually. Sharon and I did. We snuck out one night, but we got in trouble. Matt was very strict with us. There was no drugs, no alcohol allowed. It was straight protein, straight eating. Some girls weren't allowed to eat as much. They had to watch their weight. But for me, I had to keep the pounds on, keep my strength and to body build because of my modeling background. When I went into wrestling, I was a model, so I couldn't believe I went into wrestling and survived it, but I did. I'm 5'10", but I'm small boned, so I'm very bony. It was really funny. They're like, "How? You're a wrestler? What? How could you do that?" And I'm like, I did.
I know, because you're so thin.
Yeah.
You're beautifully thin. But I mean, I always envision the bigger, beefier women back in the 80s during Glow, right?
Right.
There was bigger women too. They weren't all thin and beautifully models like you. They were bigger, boxier women.
Yes.
And I saw one clip where the woman, she was a pretty big woman. She stepped on your stomach, and it didn't look like she transferred the weight, fake transferred the weight. It looked like you really got stepped on the stomach. Did that happen a lot?
Oh yeah. You feel it. But again, it's all how you react to it. There's technique, and we learned isometrics. Isometrics played a big, big role, and it still does in today's wrestling. It's all selling, what we call selling the move and the pain of the move. I think we slowed it down back then to where nowadays they're getting better. It's going back to that, but some of it was just, I couldn't even watch it. It was just not believable. And that's what makes it real, is the selling part of it. But you tense up your stomach and you come up when you know that she's going to step on your stomach. It's all about how you're trained. And like I said, the military training helped us. We had to do 100 military style push-ups
every day.
Yes,
wow.
a day. We had to run the tires like the military guys do. We run the tires every day. We ran miles and miles around the warehouse where we trained every day with our arms above our ears, and we could not lower them, could not even move them. We had to be in freeze frame and run with them like that until it burns and burns and burns and burns. And then you go from there to the punching bag to learn how to do your punches. It was very grueling. It was 6 weeks training. And then after that, they decide what character. They watch you. I guess they analyze you, if you will, in what they think you should be, what your character is going to be. Some of the girls had to drastically change themselves, like Beastie the Road Warrior. She had beautiful, glorious, long blonde hair. They made her shave it into a mohawk. Yes. That hurt. She was crying.
I bet.
Myself, I had to put on 10 pounds and I had to eat protein till I wanted to puke. And I had to lift weight more than usual because I had to get tough and buff up so I would not get injured.
Yeah, because you were so thin compared to,
Yes. And so I was in the gym every day with little Lightning, who was Cheryl Russa. She's still, I think she's 55 years old now, and she looks like she's 30, and she's very buffed yet. So I learned that, and that stays with me because my everyday is like that. I'll go and lift weights in there, pick up my bands. I'm always moving and doing something consistently. I have a gym here in my home. It kind of helps. Well, I would say it's actually harder because it's here in my home, but I do get in there and motivate myself to do all the things I need to do. However, but in Glow, if I didn't, I would have been injured and who knows. But my character, I was a singer before I actually went into Glow, not a famous singer, but I wanted to sing in lounges. I wanted to be a lounge singer. Matt decided, well, if she's a singer and she's definitely, I guess they got me as Sunny because I was always up and positive and smiling. And that's my
nice.
Motto.
That's great.
Yeah, that's my motto is sunny hugs and smiles a day keeps the negative away.
Oh, that's great.
Yes. He says, Sunny the California girl. She's tan and I had sun in. Remember the 80s? You spray that sun and it changes the hair color?
Mine was orange. I didn't look too great with my sun.
I didn't probably either, but I thought, hey, when I showed up there for the audition, they loved it, and I'm like, okay, and I was out roller skating and surfing. So I kind of really am my character.
Yeah.
It didn't change too much other than the fact I'm really brunette, and I am brunette, and people go, oh my gosh, Sunny, where's your blonde hair? And I go, well, that's 30 years ago. I go, no, now it's brown with a little gray that I need to color.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to me how he incorporated the knock-knock joke where I sang the knock-knock jokes to my opponent. So that's how they got the singing aspect in where I could still do that and enjoy what I was doing as Sunny, as my character. And I would bring Spuds McKenzie out to the ring, the surfboard, my frisbees. I'd throw out to, the little children in the audience. I'd pick a little boy or girl and throw out the frisbee. And that made my day, by the way. Just meeting and greeting the children, that was the highlight of that show for me, is to see them and watch them grow up today, now 31. Yesterday was our anniversary. 31 years later,
wow,
now live through us and love us. Those are our fan base. Our fan base is huge now. And I don't think there's any show. Yeah, there's not many shows that have carried that fan base and have gotten bigger to where we are now and going into Afterglow Fan Party Cruise, which I love. This is our third cruise we're going out to see.
That's coming
March.
up, right, March?
Yeah.
Can people still get on that cruise?
Yes. From the first cruise to the third, we have repeat fans that come on. And then we have our new fans, which is awesome. And then we have some wrestling people that'll be on this one. And it's going to be a good mix. This is going to be really good because we've got Masquerade Party. We've got the Gong Show. That's going to be on there. It's going to be really fun.
Now, what cruise line is that on if anyone's listening is interested in going?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. It's Norwegian. Yeah, Norwegian Breakaway.
And it's out of New York or
out of
Miami?
New York? Yeah, out of New York this year or next year to the Bahamas. And we're going to be going past the Statue of Liberty and landing. I think we have 3 excursions. So we're landing in Cape Canaveral. Mm-hmm. We're going to be docked there at Cape and then onto Stirrup Cay, I want to say, or Stirrup Bay. And then there's another third, which I'm not sure, the islands. But we've got 3 islands that we've got planned. And each Glow Girl does an excursion.
Oh, how fun.
So the fans get to go with each, they get to meet us for 7 days and hang out with us, drink and party, eat dinner, go to lunch, wait, see us in the morning when we're cranky without our coffee. 'Cause I got to have my coffee in the morning.
Yeah.
But they go, well, Sonny, you're always up. You're always smiling. I'm like, well, catch me in the morning. I'm a little bear,
Without that coffee, don't talk to me yet. I'm not smiling yet. You have so many things coming up, Patricia. Do you prefer Patricia or Sonny?
Patricia was my blessed name, and I do love it. My mother, miss her each and every day. I lost a couple years ago, and I took care of her in hospice, and that was a very, very pivotal time for me and very heartwarming. But every time my mother would get upset, she'd call me Patricia Ann. I prefer to say Trisha. That way I know I'm not.
You're not in trouble.
Trisha's fine. Yeah. I'm a good girl now, I think,
And so you have done so many things, Trisha. I was just reading your bio a little bit, and you've got so much. You have and there was also there's a wonderful YouTube video of you with Rick Drayson, if anyone's interested. That's a very good interview as well. And I think you have is the documentary already out, or is it in the process of being made? There's a documentary on the Glow Girls, correct, coming out, or is it already out?
There's been a documentary with some of the girls, not all the girls. That was raised by two producers in Kickstarter, and it was wrapped around Mountain Fiji where all the girls came together for the first time, by the way, for this. Not all of them, like I said. I think there was only, I want to say 12 maybe, or 14 girls, but there's 60, actually there's 70, but some have passed away. So there's probably about 67 Glow Girls.
Wow.
Out of 4 seasons. Yeah, that's already been made, and that is on Netflix, which is our series on Netflix, the Glow series, which is loosely based and paid homage to us Glow Girls back in the 80s, but it is fiction. So if anybody's going to watch the Glow Netflix series, we love it. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed it if I removed myself out of it and just watched it as a spectator. It's not how it was in Glow. I don't know about the second season, and we're very happy. There's another season that will be airing. It's currently filming in October, to start filming in October, I believe. And that's Netflix again, and that's the Glow series. So we're very thankful that that's happening, because it brings us girls even more into modern day media again, and brings us stronger. We're the originals, so you can't take that away from us.
Ever.
No, absolutely not. And we were actually honored at the CAC, which is the Cauliflower Alley Club reunion, we like to say, or convention. But it's actually a reunion for all of us wrestlers and boxers and sports enthusiasts and fans alike congregate there in Las Vegas. And it's for 3 days up there, and it's amazing. And this year, I think it's in May. Last year, we were honored. We've got our induction into the CAC, and we were honored for Lady Wrestling. First group to be honored, by the way. So we broke the glass ceiling with that.
That's great. Congratulations. Well deserved. And so people can people attend this convention, or is this just for the trade people, or is it for?
No, it's for all people. In fact, Christopher Nino promised me he's going to go this next year coming up in 2018. So I'm looking forward to him being there.
Oh, great. And Christopher Nino is one of your huge fans, and that's how I'm getting the honor of talking with you today.
Yes, he's super terrific. I'm a fan of his. I think he's great. He's got a brilliant mind, and I told him to never give up and push that envelope, and you do what you enjoy, and don't let people put you down or bully you or anything like that. You have to go with your passion and your dream. And there's so many people out there that try to, I like to say, stomp you down, because we have that term in wrestling when you do the foot stomp in the stomach. But you can't let that happen. You got to stay positive, full steam ahead. You got to keep going and keep with that positive attitude. And of course, my faith is God. I believe in God, and I don't push that on anybody, because everybody's faith is different. But I'm very spiritual just because of what I went through. And it took me a lot to get there and believe in that. Trust me, I was raised with a father who was atheist and a mother who was Christian. So I was torn up until my incident that happened, and which will be in my book and movie, of course. However, the CAC, again, is open to all. Fans can, attend. There is the site, caulifloweralleyclub.com, or California, I think it's .org, actually. Yeah, .org. And you can go and sign up for next year. You can buy a lifetime membership, or you can buy it that month, the time that you go. And it's very inexpensive for what you get for 3 days. You also get hotel accommodations with it's actually very inexpensive. expensive at the Gold Coast Hotel in Las Vegas. And Brian Blair is the president. And you might remember Brian Blair. He's with the Killer Bees and Jimmy Brunzell. Yes. And he's amazing. I love that man to death. He's got the biggest heart and brilliant, great humanitarian as well. And you'll see your favorite wrestler there, like I do. Because I fan out when I'm there.
You too.
I become nothing when I'm around all these other wrestlers that were in the business before I was. So that's amazing.
I think I saw on the Rick Grayson show that you were a huge fan as a child of the wrestlers. Your father used to take you. Is that correct?
Yes. We would watch all the wrestlers at the Olympic Auditorium in Los Angeles, and we were there all the time. My dad was friends with most of them, so they would come over to dinner, like Dick Beyer. I was in his Destroyer's mask. I was in diapers. In fact, I think I have pictures on Facebook, but I went full circle with that when I met him at the CAC, not knowing he was going to be there. I brought my black and white Polaroid from the 60s to him, and he signed it. And I said, you see this? That's me. I'm in diapers with his original mask. So that right there says, I mean, if you love wrestling or you just have memories of your childhood watching things that you did with your your family or your parents. However, if you go to the roller derby or whatever, you get to see them there. And that's what's amazing. You get to hang out with them equally for 3 days there.
Sounds like a wonderful time. And so if you just go to that CIC website, you can get all that information.
Yes. And then the Afterglow, let me mention that really quick. So people know Afterglow at C.com. You can go there and sign up and register, and our wonderful cruise director, Donald Goodland, will give you a buzz. He's a doll, and he'll help you through the sign up. He'll help you and give you all the prices and tell you what's going on and all the goodies that, you can look forward to with all of us Glow Girls.
That sounds like a blast. That sounds like Norwegian Cruise Line is the best anyway. So
I love it.
I love it too. Love it.
And free food too. You get all the food is free. Your drinks are free on this cruise, by the way.
That's a good one.
So that's a great savings right there.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds great. And then so you said you're booking your movie. Is there a timeline when those will be coming out, or sometime in the distant future? The book first? Yes,
the book first, and I'm planning on hopefully by 2019 on the movies getting it going. I've got to do all the footwork first. In other words, I'm doing a movie right now called The Last Evangelist it's in the works now. I don't know when that'll be coming out, but I want to get interviews with David Hebner. He's a great director on this, and I'm blessed to be working with him. He is interested in my story on that. So I've also did excerpts in other books to start, getting the ball rolling, if you will, towards everything, because you can't just pop up on screen and say, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm interested in that book. You got to have the following. You've got to get it out there in different aspects. And there's so much versatility, we'll just go with that, in my life, and so complex that I can only tell you. And unfortunately, or fortunately, it's all true and it all happened. And I keep everything, all my papers, everything documented. I've even had to dig into Ancestry.com to go back to find out what unraveled as far as from my birth on. So because there were so many things unanswered throughout my time and in my life, and even yet it's not all answered, and it's kind of left at a cliffhanger. So we are going to do some more research and see where we can go. And if I do get the answers, I may not. I have to rely, unfortunately, on a medium who is a real medium. Yes,
yeah.
Not one of those phonies. And I hate to say that, but there is. I actually went to a medium to find out a lot of my past because it was
awesome.
Yeah. And I didn't believe in mediumship until I went to her. I know John Edwards. John Edwards is always too busy, so I couldn't see John Edwards. And he's probably one of the best. But I did find a female version of him, and I went to her, and she opened a whole new enlightenment. And I actually believe in that now, because there was no way you can sit in front of a person and they can tell you about your life. You don't say a word. And she was pulling from the people who had passed away, whom I didn't even know, and the ones I do know that have passed away. She was acting out everything to me, and I was sitting there. In fact, I really thought I was choking up and just dying like my father did when she was going through the motions with my father, because that was very hard for me to watch my father pass away. And I lost him while I was in Glow. He never got to see me wrestle, and he's the reason why I wrestled. He's the reason why I went on my audition, because he was watching Glow one day and he had asked me to send in my headshot. So I did, and that's how that started, he had gotten ill. He had the bag behind his heart collapse.
Oh, I'm
so
sorry.
He's in St. Mary's Hospital to get a new heart. So he was a heart donor he was waiting on. And in the interim, I guess they found a little tiny spot on his lung, and they went in with a long prong or whatever to test that spot. Well, guess what? That was cancer. So that took my father within a period of 5 days. I left the ring. Matt told me to get out of the ring and you better leave, because I didn't want to believe my father was ill, because my father was strong. I was daddy's girl. Nothing's going to take my father down. I thought my mother would go first before my father. My mother was very obese, and she was a diabetic. So I watched my mother give herself shots 3 times a day, and to deal with not eating, that she cooks great feasts every night, and she couldn't really indulge in a lot of it. Yeah, so I was, and here I was, a skinny, thin as a rail, could eat anything and everything. And yeah, I didn't understand that whole thing. And I'd watch her suffer. But when I was 18, I did understand, and I realized, well, these aren't my parents.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I got hit with that news. I wanted to drive. They gave me a car, and I couldn't drive, and I needed to get a driver's license. They told me, honey, we lost your birth certificate. Couldn't find it. And so I dealt with that for a couple of years till finally they sat me down. They said, we have something to tell you. Turns out that my mother who raised me, which I still say that's my mom because she raised me since I was 3 days old, was my great aunt. Oh. And that was on my father's side, my birth father. And my father who raised me was no blood relation, but was the best father I could ever ask.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I came from a very loving, strong family. They loved each other till the day my dad passed away in 1988. So they were very, very, very close. So I was very blessed to have a good family upbringing, even though there was a lot of pain and a lot of hurt. And then before that, my brother, which I loved, I was raised with Frankie, who was not my blood brother, if you will. He was my brother. Mm-hmm. I lost him in 1985. Oh, no. Sorry. He had committed suicide in the church cathedral, the basement of the church that he was going to preach in. Mm-hmm. He was at John Brown University studying to be a psychiatrist, a shrink, if you will, and preacher, because he was evangelist. He was a world evangelist and traveled. He was 26 years old. Oh. So that was a shocker right there that just set me on a tailspin. And Glow was like a savior for me. Yeah. And then when my dad died, I went in there in his room. It was with my mom and the 3 of us at St. Mary's Hospital in Long Beach, California. I'll never forget that. I sat there with him for 5 days, and he fought it, boy. He took off that mask they put on. Oh, he hated that mask. He'd sit up and take it off. And the nurse would come back in and shoot him up with morphine, and I'm watching this. I got over there and I said, Daddy, I love you. And he goes, I love you too, baby. And I said, you know what, Daddy? I'm wrestling. And he goes, I know you are. And I'm so proud of you. So for there, that stayed with me, and the last 2 days was difficult to watch him go. And I had to be strong and comfort my mom. And I was already a mother, mind you, because I was a young mother at 17. I gave birth to my daughter, Jennifer, who is 36 now and married with my 2 grandsons. And people are shocked by that. They look at me and my other, they're like, there's no way. When the 3 of us are together, they think we're all 3 sisters. I said, God bless you.
That's fabulous.
And I'm so proud of my girls. I have a 36-year-old and 26. And here we are. There's so much in between and so much to say and to talk about.
You've had such an interesting and powerful life, and you're so inspirational for women. And you're also a public speaker and a motivational speaker and a keynote speaker, and people can connect with you on Facebook if they're interested about you coming and speaking as well?
Sure. There's a lot of things that I speak about, which is more in depth. Number one, on facing your fears and believing in your higher power, whatever that may be. For me, I had a drowning. I was barely 16. This was in Santa Monica Beach. It's a long story. I don't want to give it away. Reason being is because it's going to be in the book.
Yeah.
But I'll just say I flatlined 4 minutes. So I legally passed away.
Wow.
So I was brought back. They said I had a collapsed lung. I would be legally blind by the time I was 21 from the impact of the sand. When I went out to the ocean, I guess I hit several rocks. They thought I had broke my neck. Well, long story short, all that, when I got in the hospital, I had every tube in my body. I was laid on a flat board. I had this weird board around my neck. When I came to, this is what I was told. I asked them if they could take the board off my neck. I said I felt claustrophobic. But through the whole experience, the most thing that I remembered is what happened when I had passed away. And I went to death classes or near death classes with others that share their experiences that have passed and have been brought back to this wonderful earth that we are here for a purpose on. So I do speak about that. I speak about rape because I went through rape twice in my life by my own manager who managed me in my entertainment career. That took me out for several years. I was in hiding due to this individual. He by the way, was 10 America's Most Wanted. I was featured on Unsolved Mysteries, Crime Stop TV. It made headlines. Needless to say, this was right after Glow. It was in 1989 and 1990. I was attacked again here in California. So, I speak about that. Yes, I believe women, girls, I would go to high schools back then. That was my counseling, by the way. And it sure helped me because to see all these children, and I call them children because I think anyone who's younger than 36 is kids to me, by the way. So I'm there with them, and to see the enlightenment, that the knowledge that they need, because there's so many girls that want to be models or actresses in this world. They still have that dream of just going out there and becoming famous, whatever the case is. Like I did. I was so naive to the fact that I thought I was a tough girl. I went through Glow, nothing's going to happen to me, but it does. I would love to get more into that. Again, if I come and I'm invited to speak, I will definitely go into it fully. But he himself got 20 to life. He was 10. Yeah, it was very dangerous. He was an honorary cop officer in the state of Ohio, ironically, from where a lot of my family's from, which was really just an odd coincidence. But I met him in Las Vegas. The man was 350 pounds.
Oh, no.
6'4".
Oh,
I couldn't fight him off.
No,
to save
how
my
could
life.
you?
The second time was it was less like he wanted to kill me. He had a flat gun in his shoe. So it was the whole setup. He went above and beyond to entrap me. He was obsessed with me. The FBI had told me to go in hiding as a victim witness, under victim witness protection, which I did. I listened to the FBI. I was on the phone with them every other day, getting updates on where Maxwell Carson, as I knew him to be, but his real name was William Wood. I was shocked when they told me who he was because he was my manager. He was helping me in my career. I go, no, it can't be. What? He went by 20 different aliases.
Wow.
He never owned anything after he had left Ohio, and he was already imprisoned twice and let go. That's our system, by the way. The system was very wrong. Even when they captured him once through this time after my incident, they let him go and released in Florida. He was picked up on solicitation of prostitution and let go. And they didn't pick him up until 1998. John Walsh, you know who John Walsh is.
Yes, I do.
You all know who that wonderful man is.
Yeah.
When I gave birth to my second daughter and got married to my husband, who was waiting, by the way, with my mother on our very first date, was the day that I got kidnapped by this individual.
Oh, no.
So, yeah. So I ended up marrying Anthony, and long story short, I gave birth to Shayna in 1991. They came knocking on my door for the interview, and there was John Walsh and all his camera crew. And it gave me chills to know that, to meet this man. To me, this man was everything because he's the greatest. If it wasn't for John Walsh, I wish we had more.
I know.
Like this man. But they came to interview me. They fogged me and they scanned over all my pictures and my modeling career and the obsession that Max had with me. He had raped a couple other girls as well. Oh. And I guess it turns out he raped several before me. Oh. But through the time that after myself, he would call them my name. It was really, really bizarre.
Oh, how frightening. Yeah. How terrible.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you had to go through all that.
Your senses kicked in, and I know I didn't want to die. So I played my brother, don't forget, was studying to be a psychologist. So, of course, I read his book along with him. And I studied. So when I was in front of this man, I knew he loved me. He said he fell in love with me. That it wasn't love, though, of course, as we know. He said, I love you, and I didn't mean to hurt you. Sitting there crying after the incident happened, after what he did. He sat down on the step and was telling me he didn't mean to do it. And I said, Max, I know you didn't. Can you please just let me go? It was at a Marriott hotel that he had me entrapped him. And he said he was going to throw me out the window. It was a 2-story. I was up on top, and he had the gun. So naturally, I was like, oh, my God, this is it. And I have a daughter at home. I have a mom that's waiting.
Oh, my goodness.
I have my first date with my husband, my future husband. So, yeah. This isn't going to happen. No, I'm not going to let him. So he says he loves me. So I'm going to play on that. Hours went by. We're just talking to him. I got him out to a restaurant. really still couldn't tell you how we got there, but we went to this restaurant in Anaheim. Ironically, this happened across from Disneyland. There's a Marriott across from the Disneyland, wonderful place that we go as children, and I still go to. I just don't happen to look across the street at the Marriott Hotel where the incident happened. I know it there, but it's dealt with now. It's fine. I understand. I know, it wasn't my fault or anything like that. The memory of that is ironic, when I say, let's go to Disneyland, because nobody knows the backstory, but I do. So we go and, and I have fun there, and I deal with it now, of course, so many years later. It was so traumatic, but I got him to the restaurant, and all I remember is we sat down, and I told him I had to go to the bathroom really bad. I said, Max, please just let me go. I got to go. I have to go to the bathroom. He goes, okay, fine. I'll walk you there. I go in the bathroom. And there was a woman in there, and I remember telling her, I go, can you please help me? I need to get to a phone. And there was a phone booth, because they still had the phone booth there, where you could put in the change and you can dial. Mm-hmm. And I said, can you do me a favor? I'm going to give you a number. Can you remember this? And she looked like I was, she looked at me like, are you okay? Are you crazy? I said, please, you got to keep it down. I said, there's a very dangerous man outside that door. This woman went and called my mom. And then from there, they knew something was wrong. I told her, just tell her that I was kidnapped. And they contacted the police. And I said, you know what restaurant we're at? Because I didn't even know what restaurant, because I was so frightened and so shaken. Matt took me through the back of the door, and we went in that way. Yeah, and that's how the police came. Max actually got out of the back door and got into his car and took off. And I guess he escaped again, miraculously. There was another time that he came to visit me at my mom's. Through the time when we were in Vegas, I sort of jumped to there, but how this all happened was Max, after Glow, ran interviews for you might see this, by the way, the NFL stuff that is on my Facebook.
Yeah.
I was a calendar girl. Well, he owned a sports betting firm called Sunbelt Sport in Las Vegas. And so I went to interview for the calendar girl, because Glow now has vanished. It went off the air. I returned to Vegas after my father died, and that's when Glow had went off. I'm like, what? I didn't know this, because at the end of Glow, I wasn't there for the finish of it. I returned to Vegas as a young starlet, started auditioning. I got an apartment there, and he was one of the auditions. And from that point on, the secretary called me and said, I want you to be careful, because he says he loves you. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I just went in for an interview. I went in not only to the interview, looking my best, but I came in looking like I got beat up, because I literally did get beat up by my ex-boyfriend 2 nights before that. Yeah, that was another story that I came upon in Vegas. His name was Julian. He was a Colombian drug dealer. Did not know that. Was intrigued by him because he had all these beautiful girls around him in the nightclub, and we had the same Corvette. Thought it was cool. He moved in with me. He was Colombian, probably one of the cartels. I didn't know, but I went to visit my mom that night. He got jealous, thought I was with somebody else, and beat the crap out of me. So,
you had a rough run there, huh?
Oh, yeah, that was not fun. So I went to Max this way, and I told Max I was in a car accident. I didn't want him to know. Mm-hmm. I couldn't do that. But he looked at me. He said, you're lying. He said, who did this to you? And I told him it was Julian. And here's the same individual that did what he did to me, turned out to be a hero. I guess they beat Julian up for doing what he did to me. But Julian stole all my belongings out of my house. So it turns out I ended up working for him, and I did the NFL calendar with other beautiful women that are still in Las Vegas. They're showgirls. Now, since I believe they're retired now, but they still look amazing. Christine Perchetti and Debbie Barnes, and also another famous girl who married Montel Williams, Bambi, they call her, Grace Morley. She also was in there. And then Vicky, who was Hugh Hefner's wife, I want to say. She was the front cover of Playboy back then. So we all did the NFL, but I was the targeted one, I guess. Max decided he loved me. He opened up Max caught Sunbelt Modeling Agency for me, he said. So I was like, oh, this is great. This is cool. But it was all just so he could have me in his clutches. But here I am thinking, what a wonderful man. He's my manager. He's going to make me rich and famous. Right?
If only, right?
I was 21, 22, blonde, and he had all these monsters around him. in Las Vegas because it was very mob days back then yet. And I'm still like I'm clueless, just thinking this was the greatest thing until movie script happened that he said he owned the rights to and he didn't. And it was called A Season in the Sun. And he said I would have the lead in this motion picture. And as the character of Erin Henderson, I played a Texas girl that was in love with an American football player. And it was a great script. I read for it and I was excited and it was actually going to happen. Well, it turns out William Wilson wrote the script. He didn't even own the rights to the script, but this was his ploy again to keep me around. That was the first attack, was the Marriott in Las Vegas, where I actually represented it. He had me take pictures in front of it with we had Scott Baio, Jimmy McNichol, Dick Van Patten, rest in peace. I forgot the character who played my grandmother in the movie, but we had actual characters he would have up there, celebrities, he'd invite them up there, but he put me all by myself at the other end of the hotel. Everyone else was stationed at the other end. And I never got that. He said, well, you're special because you have the lead, honey, in the motion picture. You've got to shine bigger. The first attack happened was at the Marriott up in Las Vegas. And I was thinking I was being stalked by a stalker. This individual would call me with a different voice, would know what I was wearing, what I was driving. It turns out all along it was Max,
and
my
you
manager.
didn't know it.
Long story short, did not know it. No, I was frightened to death. So I called my manager, of course. I called Max that night and I said, Max, I'm scared. I don't want to be in my hotel. I'm getting all these real weird calls. He goes, I'll call security. Security came out and looked around. He said they didn't see anything. He goes, I'll come over. Well, he came over, and the minute he opened my door, that's when he grabbed me and choked me. And that was the first rape, actually. That the bed came out of the wall as they pulled down beds. And that's, I had a ring on. I was wearing this huge, it was really pretty. I know it had a big diamond in it, and I scratched the whole side of his face through this. I got him, but good. Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you got him at least.
Yeah, I got him there. Now, after the incident happened, he's got all these people in this movie, and I'm of course friends with some of them, but he's dangling the carrot because he hasn't paid him yet. He said, if I tell anybody after this happened, of course, he sat with me again and he said, I'll take care of you. I love you. He said all this weird, bizarre stuff that I've never heard in my life. I'm still a young, naive girl. And I'm like, oh my God. Okay. He said, if you tell anybody, I will kill your family. I will kill your mother.
Wow.
I will kill your daughter. He kidnapped my daughter, by the way. My first daughter. Yeah. So she hates showbiz. My daughter, there was a lot of, we weren't close for a while because of all that, actually. But of course, I got her back. The FBI went into action on that. And he didn't want to hurt her. And he didn't, thank God. And in Las Vegas elementary school, and I can't even remember it to this day now, the school there in Las Vegas where she was from, he picked her up there.
Goes to show what you've been through and how amazingly complex and deep your book will be and your movie will be.
Yes.
And how much you've survived.
Yes. Absolutely. To be a survivor, you have to understand and just know. And it's not that easy to accept the fact in the beginning that it happens because you feel guilty. You feel like, what did I do wrong? What happened? You know what I mean? You have so many things going through your head, but one thing's for sure, I was born this way. I was born with such a strong head on my shoulders,
and
if you will.
resiliency, such resiliency, yes. And then to turn this around and be known as Sunny and the Sunny one, yes. And it's just a really, really compelling and beautiful story. I can't wait to read the book.
Yes, I look forward to it. And I look forward to getting out there because everybody can identify with this, not even women, men can, and anybody. It doesn't matter because we've all been through circumstances of one way or another that you're going to be able to relate because I've been, from adoption. I've helped other friends of mine who have found out they were adopted this late in the game, and I've helped them find their birth parent because of my situation. There's so much enlightenment out there and so much help that we can give to people that they're not aware of. They feel so lost. And a lot of, again, the 60s and 70s weren't allowed. It's like, hey, you want a child, take a child. It was so different than now. Yeah. Now you can't do that. And thankful we have DNA. We have so many things in our technology that is helpful to find out who you really are. I still haven't found out exactly due to the fact that a lot of them have passed away, but I just know I have a tape done by the medium that I went to. Her name is Lisa Mateo. When I went to her, she was Lisa Makowitz Mateo Satori. She was married a few times. However, she was a medium to suicide because her husband had committed suicide. She has an interesting story herself, and she was so right on, and she helped me find my birth mother. And that's another, story that we can go into another show, because that's another whole ball of wax right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I wasn't aware of my birth parents until that birth certificate was shown to me with my parents as we sat down. And I met my birth father twice as my Uncle Jack. So there was a secret that was built around my birth. Unfortunately, they yanked me from my birth mother's arms, and that was wrong. And there's a lot of sadness there with my birth mother. And I lost her in 2006, and I had just got to meet her in 2005.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but we can go into that. That's another story.
Yeah,
and I do have
very interesting. The book is, I hope it's half written, because I want to hear everything too, about how everything, all the other pieces of the story. Your life is so, multi-layered and rich and challenging. I just think it's going to be a great movie and a great book, and we all can't wait to read it, and we hope you'll come back on the show, Patricia. I hope, you don't want to be called Patricia. You're not in trouble. Tricia.
No, that's fine. You know what? It's fine. It doesn't bother. I love the name Patricia. Like I said, it's my name, and I'm proudly, I honor that name and the memory and everything that goes with it with my mom when she would do that. And I would tell them honestly, I wasn't in trouble much, but when she got upset, Patricia Ann, I was like, uh-oh. So when they say, do you want to be called Patricia or Pat? I said, I definitely don't want to get Patty, because I used to get called Patty Hearst or Patty Hearst with a curse back in school, or Peppermint Patty. Because there's so many, you can go with that, so many different ways with that name. So I just say Trisha, or Sunny is fine, because I am Sunny. I am my character, without the blonde hair, if you will. But I'm definitely always up and always smiling and trying to make a difference in this world. Like I said, a sunny hug and a sunny smile each day will keep the negative away, or, the doctor away. I can go with different avenues with that. But I believe in always doing that with someone nearby needs that hug or needs that smile. It's going to make a difference in their world.
That is so wonderful. And it's such a testament to your resiliency and strength to have had the experiences you had in your life and done the wonderful things you've done, and to be continuing to do the wonderful things you've done. And Christopher Nina was spot on when he said when he tagged you, Tricia, to come on the show, because the show is about people doing wonderful things in the world. And thank you so very much for coming on to Tag You're It. Thank you so much, Tricia, and
You're
thank
welcome,
everyone for tuning in.
It's been a pleasure talking with you.
It has been my pleasure entirely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to greeninkradio.com with host Rhonda Spaziani on Tag You're It.